3 words. That's all she could send. No explanation, no context, no warning. Just 3 words fired off at 9:47 a.m. that ended a decade of certainty. Because when the phone call ended, A'ja Wilson knew. Her Team USA spot, once considered untouchable, was gone. And here's the part nobody saw coming. The decision didn't come after a bad game. It didn't come after an injury. It didn't even come after a loss. It came after Caitlin Clark did something that forced Team USA to choose a future and burn a bridge to protect it. Now, before you write this off as clickbait, stop. Because what happened behind closed doors at USA Basketball headquarters wasn't petty, it wasn't impulsive, and it definitely wasn't sudden. This was calculated, documented, and quietly building for 2 full years. USA Basketball doesn't just remove Olympic champions. They don't willingly walk into public backlash. They don't sacrifice icons unless the risk of keeping them becomes greater than the outrage of letting them go. So what changed? What crossed the line? Because here's the truth most people don't want to admit. This was never about basketball ability. A'ja Wilson's talent was never questioned. Her resume was never debated. Her dominance was never denied. The problem was something far more dangerous: influence. It starts back in March of 2023. Caitlin Clark is still at Iowa, but she's no longer just a college star. She's a movement. Sold-out arenas, record-smashing ratings, kids wearing number 22 everywhere. Women's basketball wasn't just growing, it was shifting. Most veterans embraced it. They saw opportunity, visibility, a rising tide. But A'ja Wilson, her reaction was different. At first, it was subtle. A comment here, a quote there, always framed as veteran wisdom, always just safe enough to avoid headlines. I just hope people remember we've been doing this work for years. Sounds harmless, right? Except she said versions of it again, and again, and again. Across interviews, across platforms, same message, same edge. And USA Basketball noticed. Then came the social media activity, likes, retweets, posts that vanished but were already screenshotted. Officials didn't ignore it, they archived it. Folders, timelines, patterns. Still, that wasn't enough. What pushed everything past the point of no return happened months later. At a private Team USA alumni dinner in Las Vegas. No cameras, no media, just basketball royalty. And a confrontation so uncomfortable that multiple people in the room reported it separately. That night changed everything. And once Caitlin Clark entered the professional picture, the clock started ticking fast. Because what she did next forced Team USA to act. November 2023, Las Vegas. A private Team USA alumni dinner tucked away off the Strip. No press, no phones out. 27 current and former national team players in one room. This wasn't a celebration, it was a strategy dinner. The future of Team USA was the topic. Olympic cycles, roster balance, and whether women's basketball was ready for a new face. That's when the tone shifted. Sources say A'ja Wilson didn't raise her voice. She didn't insult anyone directly. She did something more damaging. She questioned why Caitlin Clark was being positioned as the centerpiece before earning it the right way. Not once, not twice, repeatedly. The room went quiet because everyone understood the subtext. This wasn't about patience. It wasn't about development. It was about control. Several players reportedly pushed back, reminded her that growth brings fans, that visibility helps everyone. But Wilson doubled down. According to people in the room, she warned that rushing a new star could erase the foundation veterans built. That's when officials stopped taking mental notes and started taking real ones, because this crossed a line. USA Basketball isn't just managing rosters, they're managing culture. And what they saw that night was a veteran power structure resisting change. After Vegas, things escalated quietly. More monitoring, more documentation, more concern. Then Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, and everything accelerated. Attendance exploded, ratings jumped, sponsors followed, and internally, Team USA started asking uncomfortable questions. What happens when a player becomes bigger than the system? Who sets the tone? That's when closed training sessions revealed something else. Multiple players reported feeling pressured to pick sides, veterans versus the future. And A'ja Wilson, whether intentionally or not, was being seen as the center of that tension. Still, no action. Until Caitlin Clark did one specific thing that made the situation impossible to ignore. During a Team USA-related workout, Clark reportedly shut down a veteran-led offensive set and ran her own, calmly, confidently, without asking. And it worked, perfectly. Coaches didn't stop it, they watched. Because what happened next wasn't about a play, it was about leadership. Veterans looked unsettled. Younger players followed Clark instinctively. And in that moment, Team USA officials realized something frightening. The locker room was already shifting, and if they didn't act, they were going to lose control of it entirely. That's when the call was scheduled. 4 minutes, 18 seconds, and 3 words that ended an era. But what was actually said on that call? And why did Caitlin Clark's name come up more than anyone expected? The phone call happened on a Friday. That detail matters, because USA basketball avoids news cycles unless they're ready. 4 minutes, 18 seconds, no small talk, no gratitude tour, just a message that landed like a gut punch. The decision was final. And when A'ja Wilson hung up, she already knew why, even if the official explanation would never say it out loud. Because in the days leading up to that call, Caitlin Clark's presence had changed everything. Not publicly, not on ESPN, internally. At closed practices, coaches noticed something impossible to coach: gravity. When Clark was on the floor, spacing fixed itself, communication sharpened, players moved with purpose, and most importantly, the room listened. Not because she demanded it, because she earned it. During one scrimmage, a veteran attempted to overrule a set Clark had called. Clark didn't argue. She let the play fail. Then calmly said, "Next time, trust me." Next possession, bucket. Assistants exchanged looks, because this wasn't ego, this was clarity. And clarity is dangerous when power structures are fragile. Behind the scenes, USA basketball faced a nightmare scenario. If they kept Wilson and sidelined Clark's influence, they risked alienating the future. If they empowered Clark without addressing veteran resistance, the locker room could fracture. So they reviewed everything. 2 years of interviews, social activity, private conversations, reports from staff and players. A pattern emerged, not malicious, not explosive, but corrosive, subtle undermining, persistent skepticism, a refusal to adapt to a changing landscape. And here's the moment everything snapped into focus. During a closed-door meeting, one official asked a simple question: if Caitlin Clark is the future of this program, who's making that future harder? No one answered. They didn't need to, because by then, the answer was obvious. This wasn't about punishing A'ja Wilson. It was about protecting momentum, protecting growth, protecting chemistry, protecting the next decade of women's basketball. And Caitlin Clark, without saying a word, had become the measuring stick. Not because she asked to be, but because the game moved toward her. So the decision was made, quietly, quickly, decisively. They knew the backlash was coming. They knew fans would be stunned. But they also knew this: once a locker room starts choosing a new leader, you either support that shift or you lose the room entirely. And what happened after the news broke, the reactions, the whispers, the sudden change in tone across the league, proved they made the most shocking decision at exactly the right time. But the public still doesn't know what happened after the call, because Caitlin Clark's response, that's what truly sealed everything. Caitlin Clark didn't celebrate. That's the part nobody expected. When word quietly reached her that the decision had been made, there was no smile, no victory lap, no "I told you so." According to people close to the situation, her reaction was almost uncomfortable, because she knew something most fans didn't. This wasn't a win, it was a shift, and shifts come with weight. At the very next closed Team USA session, the atmosphere was completely different. No tension, no sides, no whispers, just eyes, all on her. For the first time, coaches didn't hesitate. They didn't overmanage. They didn't rein her in. They handed her the keys. Run it. And Caitlin Clark did exactly that. Not loudly, not dramatically. She simplified everything. Cleaner sets, earlier reads, faster decisions. She pulled younger players into the action. She empowered role players. She made veterans, those still in the room, feel useful, not threatened. That's when officials realized something chilling. The problem they thought they were solving was already gone. The locker room stabilized instantly. Ball movement improved. Defensive efforts spiked. Communication got sharper. No speeches required. And here's the part that hit hardest for USA basketball leadership. Sponsors noticed. Not in press releases, in tone, in confidence, in the way conversations shifted from protecting legacy to building momentum. Because Caitlin Clark wasn't trying to erase the past. She was just playing toward the future. And the future followed. Meanwhile, the league reacted. Some players were shocked. Some were furious. Some stayed quiet, but paid attention. Because everyone understood what this really meant. No resume is permanent. No status is immune. And influence matters as much as points. For years, Team USA was built on hierarchy. Now, it was being built on fit. And that scared a lot of people. The narrative tried to frame it as controversy, drama, disrespect, division. But internally, it felt like relief. Because the hardest decisions are often the quiet ones no one wants to make. And Caitlin Clark, without demanding anything, had forced the system to confront itself. Still, one question lingered. Was this sustainable? Was Clark ready to carry not just a team, but an entire cultural shift? Because the next test wouldn't happen in a closed gym. It would happen under lights, under pressure, with the world watching. And what she did then? That's when even the skeptics stopped talking. The first real test didn't come quietly. It came under bright lights, packed stands, and a national spotlight that doesn't forgive hesitation. And this is where everything became undeniable. From the opening minutes, Caitlin Clark didn't play like someone trying to justify a decision. She played like someone anchoring it. The offense flowed through her, but it never stalled. Touches were quick, reads were instant, everyone stayed involved. And when the moment demanded something bigger, she delivered. A deep three that silenced a run, a skip pass that cracked a zone wide open, a calm reset when things started to wobble. No panic, just command. On the bench, coaches barely spoke. They didn't need to, because this wasn't about numbers on a stat sheet. It was about trust. Players trusted the reads, trusted the pace, trusted the direction, and the crowd felt it. What once felt controversial suddenly felt obvious. This is what USA basketball had been protecting. Not one player, but a future that could sustain growth instead of resisting it. After the game, there were no statements, no explanations, no defenses. They didn't need them anymore because the conversation had changed. It wasn't, why was A'ja Wilson removed? It became, how did we not see this coming? And that's the real twist. This wasn't a story about someone being pushed out. It was a story about the game moving forward, whether people were ready or not. Caitlin Clark didn't ask for power. She didn't campaign for control. She just played in a way that made everything else obsolete. And once that happens, organizations don't get to stand still. They either adapt or they get left behind. Team USA chose. And the shock everyone felt, that wasn't controversy. That was realization.